somebody is actually sitting near their phone. But anyways, that is the norm. What we cannot do much here. Only thing is we can hope that people are listening. So staying at least 1 meter away from the people lessens your chances of getting COVID-19. But which percentage it drops? There are so many WhatsApp messages, WhatsApp university is telling 30% reduction, 60% reduction. Again, it is a matter of question because we don't have valid evidence on that. Do not hold events when people have to gather. People, we see that all the birthday parties are happening, all the unwanted things are happening. Of course, marriages, there is a norm for maximum of allows around 200 people. But we see recently there are so many people, thousands and thousands of people gathering in a place called as in a place like marriage. And what we can avoid, marriage, sometimes they may tell that we have waited for 1 year, we wanted to do that. But what about birthday? Birthday will come every year. No, why you want to do that now only? And especially in the New Year, which is coming next week itself, the New Year party, everybody is so fascinated with New Year party. Okay, fine, but don't do what you used to do all these years, because this year it is not the same which was there for so many years. Probably if we are alive, we can celebrate as many New Year parties in life. But if we don't take all those precautionary measures, and unfortunately if something happens, maybe this would be our last New Year. So prevention of high risk groups, older adults, especially people who are underlying medical conditions like heart disease, diabetes, lung disease, kidney disease, on cancer medication. And pregnant women, we are doing 2 studies related to that. Presently, we have undertaken in Odisha and Karnataka and Davangere, Hubli, and many other areas where we are doing studies on the impact of COVID on pregnancy and also in the children. So how is the immune response done? All those things we are just studying. But as of now, the current evidence, there is a lacking whether there is a mother to child transfer. So you know what is a suspect or a probably infected person and who is a contact. The person who is having acute respiratory illness of fever with at least one sign symptoms like cough, shortness of breath, and a history of travel or residence to a country or territory. See, persons coming from outside India, they get quarantined early. They used to get quarantined, but now if they get a report of COVID negative report within 92 hours of their travel, and the same can be accepted once they land. Once they come here, again they have to get tested. It is not only for your safety, or it is for their safety as well, and also to the family members' safety. And who is a contact? A contact is a person who has come involved with any of the following, like providing a direct care without a personal protective equipment, and staying in the same close environment of COVID-19, including it may be workplace, classroom, household gathering, traveling together in a close proximity, less than 1 meter, with a symptomatic person who later tested positive for COVID-19 in a same car, like that. So types of contact: high risk, it is touch the body fluids of the patient, like respiratory tract secretions, blood, vomit, saliva, urine, feces. Had direct physical contact with the body, shook the hands, hugged or took care of the patient, and touched with the cleaned the linen, clothes or dishes of the patient, lived in the same household as the patient, anyone in the close proximity less than 1 meter of the confirmed case without precautions, passenger traveling in close proximity less than 1 meter for more than 6 hours with a symptomatic person who later tested positive for COVID. These are all high risk. Share the same place with the high risk exposure to confirmed or a suspected case of COVID. So same class for school or worked in the same room, and not having a high risk of exposure and not having tested positive for COVID is a low risk. Traveled in the same environment, bus, train, flight, any mode of transit, but do not having a high risk exposure is considered to be low risk. So advice for contacts: asymptomatic home quarantine for at least 28 days. You may think that all the COVID is all over now. Still, do you recommend 28 days of home quarantine? Yes, because COVID-19, the incidence of disease has come down. But if a person, even today, people are getting infected with COVID, and they have to follow these 28 days because the chances of spread through that virus is very high, even at a later stage of more than 14 days. and initiate self-health monitoring for development of fever and cough, and maintain the list of contacts on a daily basis, active monitoring of the cases, daily visits of telephone call, and if symptomatic, please don't panic. Even if the symptoms develop a fever, cough, difficulty in breathing, use mask, self-isolate, and immediately inform the local bodies and get tested by RT-PCR, not any other agents, but RT-PCR, which will give a confirmatory result. So, just given a scenario, he's a young man of 30 years. He works in Mumbai as a teacher in a small school and has returned back from home for Holi. Sunil has been confirmed COVID-19 and now his family is worried. What needs to be done? So, reassurance to the family members, follow family to have support when they are in quarantine to get their daily supplies like groceries or vegetables, and hygiene and respiratory hygiene understanding has to be given to the patient. All clothes and household materials used by the confirmed family member have to be disinfected. Talk to the family often, even if only mobile, or encourage the other friends of family to talk on the phone. This is to help them, keep them, manage the feeling of being isolated. This was one of the serious problem which we faced during the quarantine and isolation period. And people, they were not worried of the COVID, but they were worried of this quarantine and isolation more than that of the virus. Support to public health services, like create supportive environment, home quarantine, and especially for the family members, and again home care. So home quarantine, keep distance, seek health care, and notify, avoid visitors in the house, avoid going to public areas, and avoid going for public functions, and also wear mask wherever you are going, and it should be worn correctly. Most of the people have the habit of wearing the mask here. That is not the correct way. It has to cover the oropharynx, including the nose and the mouth. So home care, keep the environment safe, support the family member to take care of this, wash hands regularly with soap and water for at least 20 to 30 seconds. If that is not available, then you can use the sanitizer. But sanitizer, we don't have any evidence that sanitizer is better or soap water is better, but soap with water is practical and it is economical, and many people is adaptable and acceptable to most of the people. Clean the disinfectant of high-tech services regularly, and including your tabletops, doorknobs, bathroom fixtures, toilet, phones, everyday, etc. So laundry has to be sent to laundry, and linen has to be soaked in hot water and in large drum using a stick to stir and avoid splashing. Home quarantine measures should stay in another room or be separated from the patient as much as possible. You must be wondering why he's telling about home quarantine now, because we are not in the era of home quarantine. Yes, we are not in the era. We never know what all things can happen. On 19th of March, when I returned from Mumbai, due to some other conferences, I had been to Mumbai. When I had returned from Mumbai, there were 2 cases reported in entire Maharashtra. 2 cases were reported in Mumbai, and the first case was reported in Maharashtra in Pune, and there were around 11 cases in Pune and 2 cases in Mumbai. Imagine the population of Mumbai, nearly counting up to 1.8 crores, and hardly we have 2 cases. What big deal? Somehow we returned on 19th. On 24th, there was lockdown announced, and you saw what all happened later on, and Mumbai became the hotspot for whole India. And everything happened in a span of 1 or 2 months, and you never know how this second wave is going to hit. Though we are well prepared, though we know what the virus is, and though we are almost at the verge of preparation of almost at the marketing of the vaccine, and all the trials are being actively functional, but still there is a big question, like, when is this virus coming as a second wave? Because many of the countries have already declared the second wave, and some of them have already initiated the lockdown. But unfortunately, that should not happen here also. That is why we are taking so much of control over it, but things are unpredictable as usual. So that is why home quarantine, stay safe for family and members. See, home quarantine is like a nation building activity. So if you are safe, nation will be safe. And if you are suffering, the nation will also suffer, because this virus is highly contagious and it can be transmitted to one person to other person. So whenever you can use your phone for contacts, but don't meet in person, or even when you're at home, other people are at risk, children are at risk, elderly are at risk, pregnant women are at risk. But still, we need to take care of all these things. Stigma. Why people used to not share their status with us is people used to worry about the stigma. Why? If somebody gets to know that they are COVID, people also behaved in such a way which was very unfortunate during those times. Probably that was the time to help each other and see to it that they become an active part of this control measures. But unlike what happened was, if a person or a family in a house is being suffering from this COVID-19, they used to isolate them in such a way that there were no groceries given to some people. Nobody used to come and talk, and some owners, they wanted them to vacate the house and go as early as possible to outside. So these were some inhuman kind of problems or inhuman activities which we saw during the lockdown and post-lockdown as well. When because of all these things is because of the stigma. Why there is a stigma? What does stigma do, and what can we do? The health worker. See, stigma is falling ill and dying. That is the stigma. That is the reason why the fear of becoming infected while in care, fear of losing the livelihood, not being able to work during isolation and often being dismissed from the work. Many of them have lost the job because of that. Fear of being socially excluded, placed in quarantine because of being associated with particular disease, powerless in protecting loved ones, and feelings of helplessness, boredom, loneliness, and depression due to being isolated and not working towards the caring of a dependent. Stress is caused due to above fears and being treated as an outcast or blamed for spreading the disease. Though this is what has happened, unfortunately, we should come out of this. So why there is a stigma? Because it is COVID is a new disease about which many things are being discovered even today. Even after 1 year of it, we don't know completely about COVID-19. When something is unknown, people are worried, which leads to fear, and rumors or fake news give the wrong information and spreads the fear. So what does stigma do? Makes people hide their problem. They don't come and tell. That is why government, in spite of doing all those assessments, announcements, even in your mobile, before you call anyone, you have to hear compulsorily about this virus. Makes people hide. That is why they hide their problems. They don't come out with their sharing of their feelings of whatever, how they are suffering, and people keeps people away from accessing healthcare services and seeking the help. They don't want to come to the hospital because it is a designated COVID hospital, because there is a fear that if at all it was positive, and she or he will also be dumped into the same hospital, and discourages them in many times, preventing them from adopting healthy behaviors. So that will also cause of stigma. So as a volunteer, I hope even the institute might be having NSS volunteer or a youth Red Cross volunteers. So sensitize, you can all become a volunteers. You can all become an NSS volunteer or a youth Red Cross volunteers. And you can sensitize people, help them understand that is a simple infection. 80% cases are mild in nature, can happen to anyone, including me and you, whoever is listening, whoever is not listening, everyone. And advise people to engage in relaxing activities like indoor games, touring, reading and gardening, home cleaning, etc. Ask people to stay away from watching negative things on the TV. And of course, after this COVID-19 has come up, all the TV channels have inadvertently started putting up all wanted or unwanted information related to COVID. Then engage community influencers, because these are the people who can influence the general public, and don't publicly use terms like people who have COVID, infected COVID-19. In fact, many people we use COVID-19 cases or victims. Similarly, use like people who may have COVID instead of suspected cases. Emphasize that most people do recover from COVID. That is a very important thing. As we saw in India, 95% of them have recovered, 95% of them. And amplify the good news about the local people who have who have recovered, especially from COVID-19, who have supported the loved ones during the recovery. So make special efforts to reach out to high-risk group including your senior citizens and young children. Those are the vulnerable people. So communication and personal safety, what to communicate and how to communicate has to be understood, and mask management and precautions. What to communicate? You have to communicate regarding hand hygiene, respiratory hygiene, social distancing, home care, home quarantine, monitoring symptoms, and share the display the IEC material, that is information, education, communication materials at the appropriate places. Use essential services like garbage collection, vans, milk supplies, share on WhatsApp group messages, and use pocketbook for giving key messages. That is what the people are doing that. And mask management is very important aspect that I need to highlight here. When use a mask when you're traveling out of home or college or workplace. You develop fever, cough, or difficulty in breathing, definitely you have to wear mask. You visit a healthcare facility, yes. You are caring for another ill person, yes. Use a mask correctly. Unfold the pleats facing down. Place the nose over the mouth and chin. Fit nose piece over the nose bridge and string upper string tied top of the head and ears lowering string at the back side. Now we have masks which can put up on the ear as a hook, or else you can cover it behind. So that is how it is completely covering. And the oropharynx, the nose, upper part of the nose, and the entire chin should be covered with that mask. That is how you should be covering. Of course, you can use any number of types of fashion in that, but please see to it that it serves the purpose. Otherwise, fashion without serving the purpose is of useless activity. Removing and disposing of do not reuse the single-use mask. There are some masks which can be used for 1 week, some can be used for even 2 days or so. But single-use mask, generally it should be discarded, and the other surface of the mask while removing. And remove the mask first, untie the string below and then string above the handle, and the mask using upper strings and other surface may be potentially contaminated. Remove the mask by using appropriate technique, that is, do not touch the front but remove the lace from the behind. After the removal, or whether the inadvertently touch a used mask, clean your hands by alcohol or even soap with water. So there are some myths. With summers coming up, the coronavirus will be killed. Definitely it is a myth. Summer came, rainy season came, winter is there now, but there are no chances of virus being coming down. In fact, the new cases are being detected. So in all areas, including areas with hot and humid weather, the best way to protect yourself against COVID is frequently asking you to do hand washing with soap and water. Covering your cough and sneezes and avoid to crowded places. While having a bath, will hot water kill the virus? The virus inside the body where the temperature is maintained 37 degrees and not affected by a hot water bath that you have. That doesn't mean that you should not have bath. You have bath for general hygiene. Getting the pneumonia vaccine will protect you against the virus few months together. But meanwhile, even if you have got a pneumonia vaccine, but these for pneumonia will certainly protect against other organisms that cause pneumonia. The vaccine for novel coronavirus is still under development at various stages of clinical trials. Spraying alcohol or disinfectant all over the body can prevent infections. Spraying alcohol or sanitizer on the clothes and the body will not prevent you from getting infection. Please keep that in mind. Infection spreads when the virus enters the body through nose or mouth. Cleaning and wiping, touching your mouth or eating the food with infected hands. And regularly rinsing the nose with saline will help prevent the infection. Rinsing nose with saline has a few cases helped in containing common cold, but there is no evidence to suggest it is effective against the COVID-19. Coronavirus can be passed through the chicken and meat. There is no evidence of such thing happening. A person with coronavirus can recover fully, but no more infectious. 80% of people who have recovered from disease without needing a special treatment, but information on the virus treated is still being researched. And eating raw garlic, sesame, will protect you against the virus. Garlic is a healthy food, definitely, and has other benefits, but does not protect against COVID-19. If the virus can can die easily once it is out of the body. We do not know about this particular virus as of now, and similar vessels, SARS, MERS, survive from 8 to 24 hours depending on the type of services. We should see whether the same is applicable. You can get rid of COVID-19 through COVID bias, and the coronavirus cannot be spread cannot be spread through the bite of mosquito. It is spread through droplet spreads when an infected person sneezes or coughs. So let's expose this virus before it causes serious damage to us. As an active volunteer of NSS or whatever, or your institute, activating support, safe practices, stigma and discrimination has to be bringing down. So activating support to advise community members to take care of themselves and also take care of the community they are surrounding, especially involving the stakeholders, the Gram Panchayat member and other things will be very vital here. And identify the high risk groups. Who are at high risk? So elderly people are at high risk. The healthcare workers are at high risk. The diabetes patients are at high risk. HIV patients are under high risk. Cancer patients are under high risk. So identify them so that you can help them get isolated themselves and protect them from getting infected. Be in touch with the government services to organize and get the midday meals delivered to the children's homes, because people may not die of COVID, but they definitely die of hunger and malnutrition. And that is why that has to be taken care of. And community level cadre has to be created to educate, but it is nothing concerned with you. And community level structure to be identified to transform the quarantine facilities. And safe behavior, reach out to a specific group of people such as laborers, housemaid and shelter home migrants and daily wage worker, and advise them to frequently hand wash, change the clothes, avoid spitting in open places, maintain minimum 1 meter distance or 2 feet distance, and contact community help desk, a health facility to develop fever, cough or difficulty in breathing. So there is a new strain of COVID-19 that has been reported. November 2020, United Kingdom has reported rapid increase in COVID-19 cases in London and Southeast England. This rapid increase in cases has to be linked with different version or variant because of the virus causes a serious outbreak. There is a sudden increase in number of cases. So one thing we have understood is spreads easily from person to person. That had happened to COVID as well. That is continued here. It causes milder but more severe disease in people that we are not sure with the current evidence, but things are being looked into. It is detected by current level of viral test. Again, it is a big question mark, because if it is in the same strain, definitely we can use. If it is a different strain, we will not be able to use it because the antigens differ. Response to medicine currently being used to treat people for COVID-19, however, remdesivir or Tamiflu, everyone are broad spectrum antivirals, not specifically targeted to these. Definitely it has a role, and let's see how it happens once we actually start seeing the cases. Affects the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccine. There is no evidence that it is occurring, and most experts believe that is unlikely to occur because of the nature of the virus, and can be given. New strain of SARS-CoV virus 2 observed in UK, United Kingdom or Denmark, Australia, Italy and Netherlands. As on 23rd, that is yesterday, India has not reported any new variants of ICMR, but has initiated efforts to detect and contain the infection. Already, Government of Karnataka has already announced a night curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. from yesterday, with effect from yesterday onwards. That shows the seriousness of the infection and the political commitment associated with COVID-19 management in Karnataka. And Karnataka has been a model. Yesterday, I was listening one of the conferences. I was listening to the chief who managed one of the team member who managed this, Dr. M.K. Sudarshan and Dr. Javed Akhtar. They were saying Karnataka was a model for most of the COVID-related initiatives and later on adopted by various other states in India. So we need to fight back COVID. Don't think that we are young, we are immune to COVID. No. Fight back COVID, strengthen the immune system. In our traditional Indian system of medicine, we have three concepts of ahara, vihara and vichara. Ahara is food, vihara is the surrounding environment, and vichara are our thoughts. So for foods, we have macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients, all of us eat carbohydrates, proteins and fats. But we don't generally see how many people do actually consume micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals which are nutritious. It should be clean and edible food, and all the rich source of vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E are seen in green leafy vegetables and fruits. So these things has to be consumed regularly so as to increase our immunity because of that. And there are some now, because once the COVID-19 has come into the market, there are many immune boosters which are coming up. I don't know how many people are actually, how many things are actually doing the immune boosting system. But if we eat our food properly in a proper balanced way, definitely we will have more of safeguarding ourselves as well as our family. Environment, there are two types of environment which we need to take care. What is the micro environment, which is inside the house, as well as the macro environment outside the house. So be prepared for whatever wave it comes, but if you take precautions, definitely you will get rid as you have done till now. Thoughts is very important. Having positive thoughts, not being positive on the report, but being positive in our attitude, positive in our approach, positive in the way we see the world. Being innovative, creative, constructive. Of course, as a engineering students, it is very important for you to be innovative, creative, and constructive, because you are the builders of the nation in future. So having that attitude, belief, faith, and of course spirituality. Many people think that spirituality is not a cup of tea. It is the people like old people who are hairs are completely gray. Only they should think of spirituality. No, it is not only them. It is every one of us have to be spiritual in the way we look into certain things. And regular practice of yoga, pranayama, and meditation really best. Purposefully, I have not highlighted anything on vaccine because I personally still feel that SMS is the best vaccine. Not the SMS is not that you send it through the mobile phone. SMS is your social distancing, mask and sanitization procedures, including it might be user sanitizer or your hand washing technique. So social distancing, mask and sanitization is the best vaccine that can protect us not only from these viruses but also viruses in future. I now sincerely acknowledge the efforts and the materials being provided by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, and Indian Council of Medical Research for having provided the materials so that I could make these presentations for the benefit of all of you. And thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dear students,
Thank you, sir.
any questions related to this?
Sir, I am Santosh. I ask you, a person is alcoholic, he can cause corona?
Even if he is non-alcoholic also, he can spread corona. There is nothing like that. Alcohol does not have any influence on COVID-19, but people with alcohol, they don't have that, they will lose the inhibition and they lose that control over themselves. And they just get away from all the preventive measures that they can take care. So that is one thing. Otherwise, alcohol does not have anything to do with this COVID virus.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So doesn't mean that people should start drinking alcohol.
Some more questions, students?
Hello, sir. Myself,
Yes.
Brahma Kumar, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
I want to ask, you are telling COVID-19 has yet not vanished.
What?
Hello.
Yeah. Tell me.
COVID-19 has not yet vanished, na, sir.
Yes, it has not vanished.
But now in Belgaum, it is cases are coming, na. Cases are smaller than the.
Yes, the number of
they
cases
are,
have come down. Significantly, the number of cases have come down.
Yeah.
We cannot predict
But,
when they are going to increase, because already in Rajasthan, the number of cases have already started increasing. They have already started night curfew way back before government of Karnataka. So recognizing all these things, and once we have seen, see, we are in the global village. Anything which is there in UK, it will not take much time to come to India. And once it is there in Delhi, it will hardly take few days to just come to Bangalore or even to Belgaum. So we are in this era of global connectivity so good. The air travel, the connectivity is so good. And with all these things, of this advanced affluence lifestyle which we are leading, and because of this, we have to pay some price, and that is why this pandemic happened within a span of 1 or 2 months. It encroached all the countries of the world. So you don't we can never expect, okay, now we have already taken care of most of the COVID related illnesses and we are done with COVID. No, we are not yet done with COVID. COVID is going to remain with us for a long time, more long time. Probably if it is if not a second wave, something else might come. So there might be a chance that, and especially we had expected, most of the epidemiologists has expected that in the winter season, the cases are going to increase. Normally also influenza cases used to go up at this time, but now since the COVID is there, so there are chances that the cases might go up. So that is why we need to be prepared for that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
A lady was pregnant and she was positive of corona when she gave a birth to a child, but the child result was negative. How it is possible?
Yeah, it is possible because it is not still evident that it crosses the placental barrier. And out of there was a study done in Faridabad district in UP. So where they studied around 255 pregnant women who were positive, and among them only 10 of the children were positive for COVID, and others were not. And later on also, now we have formulated newer study which will see the incidence of COVID-19 mother to child transmission. Recently, we are data collection is over. We are yet to analyze, and the results are to be announced in another 1 or 2 months. So it was a nationwide study which was done in AIMS Delhi, in Belgaum, JNMC, and Wardha, Sevagram, and PGI Chandigarh, and we involved Orissa, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Madhya Pradesh, and Delhi, Punjab, UP. These were the states involved in that study to see whether there will be any transmission to mother and child. So very unlikely. There are evidences which say yes, there is a transmission. There are some evidences which are contrary, but even though there is a transmission, the rates are very less than 5 to 10% was the current thing. Let's see in future if we get a better picture out of it, we may be able to answer this question in a better way.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, plasma therapy is not effective for coronavirus, sir.
Yes.
Plasma therapy.
Plasma therapy initiated at the very initial stage, it is of much help, but of late what we have seen and experiences say that plasma therapy was not so promising as much as it was claimed to be.
Anyone else?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, we have heard that people who smoke are a greater risk of getting infected by the virus. So, how does smoking play a role in increasing the risk of getting the virus?
Yes, smoking. Yes, definitely. Smoking causes COPD, that is a chronic obstructive lung disease, and even this virus also causes obstructive lung disease. And moreover, smoking will damage the alveoli, that is the air pockets where the air exchange between the oxygen exchange occurs between the air we breathe and the blood capillaries. So already when these are damaged and already patients are suffering, or they become more susceptible to for this particular virus. And not only that, being susceptibility is because their immunity will go down, and second is they are already prone to get infection, already lungs are in the damaged state. And second is the chances of severity of the infection is increased whenever the person continues to smoke or already has smoked for many years and get infected with COVID. So that is what we have seen. And this is the high time that we need to stop smoking and to avoid smoking as much as possible, because we are not only causing damage to our own self, but also to the surrounding people.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Sir, I have a question, sir. Hello?
Yeah.
Sir, can you hear?
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, what is currently known about the new COVID found in England, sir?
Huh?
What is currently known about the new COVID-19 found in England?
Currently known is it is more contagious. That is what we have seen. See what happened. They did not see that there is a spike, rapid rise in the cases. They just saw that, and then when they saw what are the strains, because every country is in the phase of manufacturing the vaccine. So it is mandatory that you have to keep a track on different strains of virus, because you should know which virus strain is more causing more damage or causing more disease or even deaths. So in that way, when they just found out, they found a new strain. Of course, this virus is so unpredictable. Why it is so unpredictable? Because it has a propensity to undergo mutation very rapidly. That is the specialty of this virus. Definitely, if not now, in future at least, it is going to mutate and it is going to change its structure. That is how the influenza virus became SARS, SARS to become COVID, COVID to next something else. So this will keep on happening, and that same thing was observed there. So currently they have come to know that it is highly contagious, but how far it is, those who get infected, what is the rate of infection, how it is going to manifest, what is the immune response, it is very early to tell all those things. But of course, since based on the previous experience, we can say that it is going to be more dangerous. That's all, because of it, more number of cases.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the information.
I think those were the questions, because I have to go for another meet. So I think we can end the session.
Yes, sir. Sir, one more question from our madam. Madam.
Yes.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Suppose a person is infected by a virus and after 1 month his RT-PCR is negative, sir. Initially he was positive. After 1 month his RT-PCR report is negative. So can we say based on that he is out of danger, or chances are there to again infect and again an infection?
Yeah, see, basically what happened was being RT-PCR negative means there are no active or killed virus in the body. That is what is the meaning of RT-PCR.
Okay.
RT-PCR being negative. So there are no virus particles or virus protein being present in that particular sample which is collected. So you know how the samples are collected. It is just collected from the nasal swab is collected and throat swab is being collected. Of course, if at all they are there, they are most commonly present in those cases. But still, there are studies which showed that the RT-PCR negativity is not 100% sure. It only gives 70% accuracy. So 30% still there is a chance that the person might be harboring the virus, but may not be detected through RT-PCR. That is one thing. Second one, if the person is RT-PCR negative, but there are chances that he may get reinfected with that cases. That is why what we advise, even though you might have got infection, you might have got cured of infection, RT-PCR might be negative, but still he has to continue wearing mask and maintaining social distancing and managing his sanitary and so not only sanitary, the hygienic practices like hand washing, use of sanitization has to continue with whatever level of infection he might have suffered and he might have come out of it, he or she. So basically that measure, these measures, SMS measures has to be continued throughout until we start living with this virus. We have already started doing that. But in spite of that, so that if we want to protect our family members, if we want to protect the vulnerable, especially elderly and children in our family, it is mandatory that we need to take care of them by these measures. And RT-PCR negativity is not 100% sure. That is what we should understand.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll wind up with the session.
Yeah, we'll wind up.
Thank you, sir. It was very informative session, and we sure will try to follow the SOPs what you have been told, and our students also will try to maintain the distance once the offline classes will start. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
On behalf of AITM, I extend my thanks to our resource person, Dr. Avinash Kavi, to take out his time with a busy schedule to grace the event. And thank you, sir, once again. It was very informative session. I appreciate our students who showed their involvement in this session. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Students, sir, you may leave the meeting, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank students. Tomorrow there will be no session in the view of Christmas. Okay, so on 26th you will be followed with again 10 o'clock session. The same link will be provided to you. You can join at 10 o'clock. That what 26th will session is there, a very interactive session, and you can please join that day. Okay, so 26th we'll see in the morning. 10 minutes prior, please join the session. Okay, so I feel you all have got through the COVID-19 awareness and the SOPs to be followed. So try to, yesterday I was calling many of the parents I had contact. So many of the parents are really getting exposed to some of the events, that is marriage and all. So try to make aware to your parents also, not to just involve in such much activities where the crowd is. Okay, and take care of yourself and family. Yes, this was awareness given to all of you, so take a benefit of this, and we'll see in 26th morning session, and wish you a very happy Christmas to all of you. Yeah, thank you.
Merry Christmas, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks. Same to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Same to ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, everyone can leave the session. We'll see you on 26th. Yeah, thank you.